Hello everyone and welcome to my Y&R Insider 24 update channel. The war between Kyle and Audra is getting close to ending. Could the beginning of this scene between Audra Charles and Kyle Abbott in France have led to a different outcome in Genoa City on The Young and the Restless? Image courtesy of CBS. Kyle, Zuleika Silva, appears to be taking his frustrations out on Audra because of his breakup with Claire. She taunts him at every opportunity, rejecting his belief that he is accountable for his actions. On Monday's show, watch for Kyle and Audra's war to approach the point of no return. What might this imply? Technically, Kyle and Audra are both currently single. In addition to rejecting Kyle, Audra has been expelled by Nate. Audra has accused Kyle of being attracted to her. Perhaps, there's an attraction on both sides. If this is the case, Kyle and Audra might have hate-sex moments. Victor, victorious. On The Young and the Restless, Victor Newman shows no mercy to his rivals. Victor Newman does not rule out forming a partnership with Jack Abbott. He thinks Kane might be a threat, and even Victor would think it would be wise to do whatever it takes to get rid of that threat. Watch for Victor's plot to defeat an opponent on Monday's show. While this nemesis could be Kane, Victor's got a lot of other adversaries out there. He might be targeting someone other than the person who used to be known as Aristotle Dumas. Jack, be nimble. On The Young and the Restless, is Peter Bergman's Jack Abbott planning to use a scheme against Eric Braeden's Victor Newman or someone else? Could Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, be the opponent that Victor is trying to demolish? It is conceivable. However, Jack is aware of Victor's ruthlessness, even though he is willing to form a temporary alliance with Victor. On Monday's show, look out for Jack to hide a trick. Does this imply that Victor can be coerced into becoming Jack's temporary ally? Or will Jack independently devise a strategy to topple Kane as a threat? The collision course between Kyle and Audra, a conflict between egos, feelings, and unresolved desires. Emotions collide with consequences at times in The Young and the Restless, when pride and heartbreak mix so violently that the result feels almost combustible. Kyle Abbott's, Michael Mealer, growing dissatisfaction with his breakup with Claire, Haley Erin, escalates into open conflict with Audra Charles, Zuleika Silva, in the upcoming Monday episode. Once the battle moves back to Genoa City, what began as snide remarks and competitive sparring between them in France appears poised to escalate into something far darker and more intimate. For these two, the line between love and hate has always been dangerously thin, and the next chapter might make it impossible to tell the difference. It has been painful to watch Kyle's downward spiral since Claire rejected him, especially considering the maturity he once promised to attain after his previous romantic failures. From Summer to Lola to Tara and now Claire, every relationship seems to end with Kyle questioning his worth and trying to reassert control in ways that only deepen his emotional wounds. This time, he uses anger as a coping mechanism, but not at himself but at Audra, the only Genoa City woman who doesn't give him the space or sympathy he needs. Naturally, Audra thrives in tension. Her taunting isn't just cruelty, it's calculated. She knows how to get under Kyle's skin, how to expose his insecurities, how to force him to react emotionally rather than rationally. However, the fact that, beneath the venom, there is a dangerous spark of attraction that neither of them can completely suppress is what makes this situation so fascinating. The script hints that their war may soon cross the line into passion, perhaps even hate sex, as the dialogue teases. On Y&R, it's not unusual for two characters to use their intimacy as a weapon, but the implications are especially potent here. Kyle may perceive a relationship with Audra as a means of regaining control or numbing his pain, still raw from Claire's rejection. Audra, freshly dismissed by Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, might use Kyle as a tool to reassert her own dominance in both love and business. The repercussions could alter numerous Genoa City storylines in the event that takes place. Because when two emotionally unstable people collide under the weight of resentment and attraction, the consequences rarely stay confined to the bedroom. Audra's calculated rage and Kyle's self-destruction on the emotional battlefield. The way Kyle is acting right now can be seen as a classic case of displaced rage. Instead of processing the loss of Claire in a healthy way, he's projecting his feelings onto Audra, accusing her of manipulation and deceit when, in truth, he's the one wrestling with internal guilt. His insistence that he's responsible for his own choices, coupled with his frustration when Audra mocks that claim, reveals just how fragile his sense of self has become. Kyle has always prided himself on being an abbot, on having a moral compass distinct from the schemers who orbit around him. But heartbreak has stripped away that identity, leaving him impulsive, reckless, and hungry for validation. Audra, on the other hand, is a master of emotional combat. She knows exactly how to push buttons, and she thrives on chaos because it gives her power. Her relationship with Nate was based on ambition, but when that partnership ended, she showed a vulnerable side that she doesn't want anyone to see. In Kyle, she sees a man teetering on the edge, someone she can provoke into self-sabotage while masking her own sense of rejection. Yet as often happens in the tangled world of the young and the restless, manipulation has a way of turning into genuine connection. Their chemistry shines through the tension as they fight more. It's not love, it's something far more primal. Their war is less about romance and more about control. Each is trying to prove to the other, and to themselves, that they hold the upper hand. Audra is mocking Kyle and putting him to the test when she says Kyle was secretly attracted to her. His anger is the validation she seeks. The truth is, she's not wrong. There is attraction, there is fascination, and there is danger. The idea that two people could despise each other so much they fall into each other's arms isn't new to soap opera lore, but in this case, it's layered with years of emotional baggage. Both Kyle's broken heart and Audra's battered ego are the same thing. They are both looking for power where they once felt powerless. If this culminates in a physical encounter, it will not be tender or healing. It will be explosive, two wounded souls colliding in a moment of reckless abandon. And once that line is crossed, there will be no going back. The preview warns that once they reach the point of no return, their fragile civility will be destroyed. Victor Newman, the chess master, re-enters the game. While Kyle and Audra wage their personal war, the young and the restless continues to weave its larger corporate intrigue through Victor Newman's, Eric Braeden, ever-watchful presence. Victor is still the ultimate puppet master of Genoa City, and he pursues control with calculating, ruthless, and unwavering determination. The script suggests that he may be considering an unlikely alliance with Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, to combat a shared threat, possibly Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn. If true, this would be one of those rare moments when Victor temporarily sets aside his personal grudges in favor of strategic advantage. Victor has never been known for mercy. His victories often come at a steep price for those who cross him. His willingness to do whatever is necessary to eliminate a threat like Kane underscores his enduring dominance. Even as new generations of Newmans and Abbotts take center stage, Victor remains the axis around which Genoa City spins. His philosophy has always been that business and family are inseparable and that anyone who endangers his empire, regardless of bloodline, will face his wrath. But what's most compelling about this potential alliance with Jack is its instability. Although Victor and Jack may temporarily band together against a common foe, their deep distrust is mutual. They've spent decades as adversaries, and every time they've joined forces in the past, betrayal wasn't far behind. The upcoming storyline teases Victor plotting to take down an opponent, leaving fans to wonder whether Kane is the true target or whether this is another instance of Victor manipulating everyone around him to achieve a hidden goal. Perhaps Victor sees an opportunity in the chaos between Kyle and Audra. A distracted Abbott heir is a vulnerable one, and Victor has always been adept at exploiting emotional weakness for corporate leverage. If Kyle's feud with Audra spills into the business world, jeopardizing Jabot's stability, it might give Victor the opening he needs to strike. The countermove of Jack Abbott, secrets, strategy, and the at-risk legacy Jack Abbott, as ever, stands at the crossroads between loyalty and survival. The notion that he might have a trick up his sleeve against Victor, or perhaps against Kane, suggests that Jack is not as naive as his occasional moral posturing implies. For all his good intentions, Jack is a strategist at heart, a man who learned through painful experience that sentimentality is a weakness in Genoa City's cutthroat corporate landscape. If Victor is preparing to strike, Jack may be plotting his own preemptive move. It's possible that his willingness to consider forming an alliance with Victor is nothing more than a deception, a means of gathering information while safeguarding Jabot's interests. The Abbotts have suffered too many losses at Victor's hands for Jack to blindly trust him now. Yet Jack's optimism, His belief that he can outsmart Victor at his own game has historically been both his greatest strength and his undoing. The tension around Cain Ashby further complicates the picture. Cain's re-emergence as a potential threat could signal a new era of corporate warfare, with old alliances breaking and unexpected ones forming. Jack might attempt to use Cain's ambition to divert Victor's attention, playing both sides until he can secure Jabbo's dominance. But if Jack's trick fails, if Victor anticipates his maneuver, the repercussions could be catastrophic. Jack's storyline also parallels Kyle's in an intriguing way. Both men, father and son, are navigating battles that blur the line between personal emotion and professional rivalry. Kyle's impulsive behavior with Audra could jeopardize more than just his love life, it could endanger the Abbott family's business empire. Even though Jack is wise, he may soon have to choose between protecting his son and the business. He has been defined by that moral quandary for decades, and the upcoming episodes appear geared up to bring it back in all its complexity. The underlying themes, pride's high cost and powerful passion. This narrative focuses primarily on the destructive nature of pride and the perilous appeal of power. Kyle's pride has turned heartbreak into rage, Audra's pride has turned rejection into manipulation. Jack's pride convinces him that he can outthink the master himself, while Victor's pride prevents him from ever winning a fight. Each character is driven by ego, by the need to prove their strength, independence, or superiority, and in doing so, they risk losing the very things they claim to value most. What makes The Young and the Restless enduring is its ability to mirror real human emotions through heightened drama. Kyle's inability to process pain without seeking control speaks to the universal struggle between vulnerability and ego. Audra's need to dominate every interaction reflects the fear of losing identity when power is stripped away. Victor's endless plotting reminds viewers that even the mightiest figures are fueled by insecurity, by the terror of irrelevance. In addition, Jack's efforts to strike a balance demonstrate how impossible it is to reconcile heart and ambition in a world that necessitates harsh decisions. As Kyle and Audra's war escalates, viewers will likely see both characters pushed to emotional extremes. The culmination of months of suppressed tension will be their final confrontation, whether verbal, physical, or a combination of the two. The possibility of hate sex refers to what happens when two hurt people look for comfort in the wrong places, not just to entice one another. Their passion will not heal them, it will expose their wounds to the world. And when that happens, the fallout will ripple through the Abbott family, Newman Enterprises, and beyond. Looking ahead, the fallout and the road beyond. Once Kyle and Audra cross that fateful line, nothing in Genoa City will be the same. If they give in to temptation, they'll both face consequences far beyond emotional guilt. Kyle's reputation, already battered by his impulsive choices, could take another hit, especially if word of his involvement with Audra reaches Jack or Victor. Sleeping with Kyle could be a blessing and a curse for Audra. It might re-establish her dominance, but it will also tether her to a man whose emotional volatility could destroy her career. Meanwhile, Victor's machinations will continue to unfold in the background, setting traps and alliances that will entangle everyone else. Whether his true target is Cain, Jack, or someone entirely unexpected, his victory will come at a cost to those who underestimate him. Jack, trying to maintain control over Jabbo while managing his son's spiraling behavior, will once again find himself torn between family loyalty and business survival. Thematically, this episode promises to be a turning point. It's about the collision of emotion and ambition, about what happens when people driven by power forget the boundaries of morality. The point of no return doesn't just describe Kyle and Audra's personal war, it describes the entire fabric of Genoa City as rivalries intensify and alliances blur. In the end, Kyle and Audra may discover that their greatest enemy isn't each other, it's themselves. Their inability to confront their pain honestly will lead them down a path of self-destruction. Victor will remind the audience that in his world, only the ruthless survive. And Jack will once again try to hold his fractured family together while fighting off the predators circling Jabbo. Kyle and Audra are ready to kill each other. We can see Kyle and Audra ending up like this on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. Audra and Kyle could start charging admission to their sparring matches, which don't happen enough on The Young and the Restless, if they want to start making a lot of money, like Cain Ashby did. Their most recent showdown, which took place in Chancellor Park, was among their finest. Because they are so deliciously entertaining, Kyle and Audra's interactions have become something we look forward to. Kyle has tons of ammunition on his side when he wants to stick it to Audra. He throws up in her face that her relationship with Nate is kaput, she has no job, and few people in town outside of her bestie, Sally Spectra, can stand to be in the same room with her. This ought to be sufficient to send anyone running for their security blanket. But Audra Charles isn't just any person. She responds to Kyle's insults almost entirely as if she were made of Teflon. No sooner does Kyle inflict his painful dig on Audra than she fires back with brutal precision. When Audra pursues Kyle, nothing is off limits for her. For instance, she will point out to him that he is a Nepo baby. Today, she went in for the jugular and pointed out that Claire was likely in Los Angeles, having Holden apply sunscreen to her body just like Kyle did hers in France. Audra threw in that Claire couldn't control her drink for good measure, referring to the nearly drunken fight they had at Society before Holden intervened. Our hunch is Audra and Kyle are getting very close to having hate sex. They may not see it coming, but we do. Want more details? You are ours. Soap Central has the best full Y&R recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each and every one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers, too. And no matter what you do this weekend, don't forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs. Hey, admit it, we're funny, in the closest thing we can get to being a watching party without actually being a show. The best part is that we want to know if you agree with us or disagree with us. As always, share your comments below. Kyle and Audra are ready to kill each other. It's a dangerous game when 2 people who thrive on control, manipulation, and unhealed heartbreak find themselves locked in a war of words that cuts deeper than either dares to admit. Especially when it comes disguised as seduction, Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles are no strangers to destruction. What began as a casual alliance of convenience has spiraled into a fiery rivalry that burns hotter than their past liaisons ever did. There have always been explosive duos on The Young and the Restless, but Kyle and Audra are completely different. Ego, rage, and the lingering ghost of desire that won't go away quietly combine to form toxic magnets. When these 2 meet, the air thickens, sparks crackle, and viewers can almost hear the fuse being lit beneath Chancellor Park. A masterclass in verbal conflict took place in their most recent encounter. The weight of resentment and humiliation was crushing Kyle's composure as he stormed into the scene like a madman. He has been on a warpath ever since his split from Claire, attacking anyone who brings to mind the betrayal that shattered his pride. And who better to take the brunt of that fury than Audra, the one woman who knows how to press every single one of his buttons. Kyle's temper flared as soon as he noticed her lounging with that signature smirk. His words were sharp, cruel, and deliberate, cutting reminders that Audra's recent fall from grace was as public as it was humiliating. He didn't hesitate to throw her failures in her face, her broken relationship with Nate Hastings, her ruined reputation at Newman Media, and her vanishing professional credibility. He reminded her that she had no allies left in Genoa City, aside from Sally Spectra, who was far too busy with her own emotional turmoil to play savior. It was a calculated hit, a strike designed to wound, and Kyle hit the target dead on. But if Kyle expected Audra to crumble, he clearly forgot who he was dealing with. Audra Charles doesn't break, she retaliates. Her armor is polished, her words are poison, and her timing is impeccable. She stood there in Chancellor Park, calm as ever, the faintest trace of a smile on her lips as she let Kyle exhaust himself. Then, with the lethal grace of a cobra, she struck back. Her tone was sweet, but her words were daggers. She reminded Kyle that despite the fact that his last name carries power, his life is a series of mistakes that are protected by privilege. She referred to him as a Nepo baby, implying that he would rather rely on his father's empire than establish his own. Audra went for the jugular, dragging Claire Grace into the line of fire, just as Kyle believed he could counter. She made fun of him for losing Claire by implying that she was probably in Los Angeles, having Holden apply sunscreen to her bare shoulders, just like Kyle had done for her in France, while he was sulking. That moment hit like a bullet. The brief, passionate, and ultimately destructive encounter that Kyle and Audra had in France hung between them like smoke from an unending fire. The way Audra said it wasn't just taunting, It was intimate, almost nostalgic, as if she knew the mention would ignite something buried deep inside him. And it did. What words could not say was that there was still heat beneath the hatred in Kyle's eyes. It was a dangerous attraction that turned rivalry into foreplay and anger into obsession. Audra didn't stop there. She twisted the knife further, reminding him of the night Claire nearly got into a drunken brawl at society. She hissed, her eyes gleaming with cruel satisfaction, "Maybe Holden can handle her better than you ever did. You always liked women you could fix. It's a shame you can't even fix yourself," one person said. The last of Kyle's composure was shattered by those words. He moved closer, his voice dropping into a venomous whisper as he accused her of being jealous of Claire, jealous of anyone who could love without needing to destroy. But Audra only laughed, a low, taunting sound that echoed through the park. "Jealous?" She responded by moving closer. "Darling, I don't do jealousy. I do revenge." The tension between them was electric, unbearable. For a heartbeat, it felt like they might actually strike each other or kiss. Maybe both. The camera could have panned in close and caught the raw emotion flickering across their faces. Rage, longing, regret, desire, all tangled in a single, dangerous moment. It's what makes Kyle and Audra such a fascinating pair. They're not just enemies, they're mirrors. Each one reflects the other's flaws, insecurities, and appetites. They see themselves too clearly in each other, and that's what drives them both mad. Kyle Abbott has always been the golden boy with a dark streak. When love fails him, he is a man who longs for chaos beneath his polished exterior. His relationships have always followed the same pattern: idealization, disillusionment, destruction. With Summer, he sought security. With Lola, he chased purity. With Tara, he was consumed by guilt. He also attempted to rewrite his story with Claire, but he ended up even more broken than before. Now, standing across from Audra, all that heartbreak has curdled into anger. But anger is a familiar companion for him, and Audra, somehow, makes it feel alive again. As for Audra, she's a master at turning pain into performance. Every insult she endures becomes ammunition for her next act of defiance. Her ambition, her ruthlessness, her refusal to be pitied, it all stems from a lifetime of being underestimated. She's built her identity around power plays and seduction, always staying one move ahead. But Kyle, he's her exception. He gets under her skin in ways no one else can. Maybe it's because she sees in him what she tries to suppress in herself: vulnerability. When Kyle lashes out, Audra recognizes the same loneliness she hides behind her smirk. It infuriates her because it makes her care, even when she swears she doesn't. Their argument at Chancellor Park wasn't just another sparring match. It was the most recent round in a tense boxing ring that has turned into their battleground. Every word, every glare, every sarcastic remark is a punch thrown in a fight neither can afford to lose. They've become addicted to the push and pull, the rush of confrontation followed by the hollow ache of parting. There's an undercurrent of attraction that neither will admit, but everyone watching can feel. All of that tension will only get worse over time. Hate sex isn't just a possibility, it's inevitable. Yet beneath the surface, something deeper is stirring. Kyle's fury isn't entirely directed at Audra, it's self-loathing turned outward. He blames himself for losing Claire, for driving away the people who once believed in him. Audra, in her own way, represents the chaos he's trying to escape. But she also represents freedom, the kind that doesn't judge or demand perfection. In her company, he doesn't have to be the perfect Abbott heir. He can be raw, flawed, human. That's what terrifies him most. For Audra, Kyle is the one man who refuses to worship her, and that makes him dangerous. She can manipulate men like Nate and Tucker with ease, but Kyle sees through her. He doesn't just challenge her authority, he undermines her control. And control, for Audra Charles, is everything. Their war is about more than pride, it's about identity. Each confrontation peels away another layer of the personas they hide behind. By the time the shouting stops, they're both stripped bare, emotionally exposed, their armor shattered. That's why they keep coming back for more. Because they are the only two people who truly see each other in a strange way. Naturally, the irony is that this recognition could end up destroying them both. Viewers have noticed it, 2. The way the camera lingers on them, the palpable tension in every shared scene. There's a reason their arguments feel like foreplay, because they are. Every insult is a love letter wrapped in barbed wire. Every glare is a confession they're too proud to make out loud. The writers are playing a long game with these two, and it's paying off beautifully. The relationship between Audra and Kyle has gone from flirting to fighting, and now it's on the verge of becoming much more volatile. If they do give in, if anger gives way to passion, it will be explosive, messy, and utterly unforgettable. However, it will also come at a price. For Kyle, it might mean burning whatever remains of his moral compass. For Audra, it could mean surrendering the one thing she values most, control. And when two people like them finally let go, the fallout will be catastrophic, not just for them, but for everyone orbiting their chaos. Claire, Summer, Nate, Tucker, even Victor and Jack, they'll all feel the ripple effects of whatever storm Kyle and Audra unleash next. Fans can't help but watch them circle each other like predators week after week on television until then. It's not just entertainment, it's an emotional rollercoaster that captures everything the young and the restless does best: love, power, betrayal, and the irresistible pull of forbidden connection. Kyle and Audra might swear they hate each other, but deep down, hate is just another form of passion, and passion has always been their downfall. So, as they stand in Chancellor Park, breathing the same charged air, trading venomous words that drip with double meaning, we can't help but wonder how long they can keep pretending. Because sooner or later, one of them is going to make the first move, and when they do, Genoa City will never be the same again. The line between love and hate has never been thinner, and Kyle and Audra are dancing right on top of it. They might be ready to kill each other, but the truth is far more dangerous: they're also ready to fall.